One of the things that I've always wanted to check is whether or not the honeymoon period is an actual thing. Throughout my research, this then became a massive project around, are teams in the Call of Duty League actually making sensible transfers? This is Reverse Sweep Round 11 presented by USA Insurance. Let's start off then with the year where it all began, and that is the Modern Warfare season. And here we see 11 out of 20 transfers be successful across the whole year. The teams that came away with a 100% record around the transfers that they made and whether or not they were successful include the Huntsmen, Florida, OGLA, and Toronto. An example of one of these transfers is indeed Pharaoh. Rest in peace, young man. But he came into that Florida side when they were looking like a relatively bottom half of the table team and became a big part of them becoming winners very, very soon thereafter. Another example of successful transfers would also be Classic at Toronto Ultra. Perhaps goes under the radar a bit, but him coming into that side and then them going on to win the next homestand is indeed an example of the kind of success you can see from a slight adjustment in your team. It wouldn't be an analysis without talking about the teams that also did things really poorly. Rocker and the LA Gorillas are the sides that had a 0% success rate when it came to making their transfers, and I'm not going to pick at individual players as examples for this because that'd be incredibly harsh. Some of these players came into scenarios where they really didn't have much of a chance, thinking about that LAG squad that chopped and changed very regularly. However, it is an example of the kind of mismatches and the kind of poor fits that they are finding on those orgs. If we break it down by role, and this is the role of the player coming into the starting lineup, you can see that 50% of SMG changes were successful, while 63% of all AR changes were also positive in that Modern Warfare season. Let's hop over to Cold War then, and we've got a slightly less successful rate so far. 7 in 14 have seen some positive movement. 100% success rates go to a whole bunch of teams that are at one successful change out of one. However, it is London who are actually top of the list and look best out of everyone so far. They did get off to a really slow start to the season, so it is kind of easier to get better as you make changes. However, it still must be said that they are making ways to improve and they are on the right track. Likewise, there are a whole bunch of teams that have made one change that has not paid off, and those will sit in that 0% category. However, the team that sits at the bottom of the lot is the LA Thieves, and I don't think this is going to surprise anyone. They've made a whole bunch of changes and finished top 6 all season, so no movement forward. However, it's also not movement backwards, and I will give LA Thieves the benefit of the doubt here. They are trying to build a championship caliber team, and I do think that if they manage to get this group of players working together, then they will make me eat my words here, because that could be a very, very dangerous team. If you remember rightly, Modern Warfare was more successful when it came to AR changes than SMGs. Cold War, it is flipped. AR changes have brought success 40% of the time, whilst if you change your SMG, you can expect to see an improvement 56% of the time. Overall then, there has been a 53% success rate after changes are made. And in this, we looked at the results directly previous to the change and then the results directly after the change. In Modern Warfare, that would be 2 homestands before, 2 homestands after. Whilst in Cold War, it was 1 stage before and 1 stage after. And there would be adjustments made based on overlap in case a player came in midway through. So the idea here of a honeymoon period is quite difficult to get behind when it is just over half of changes that actually see improvements in teams. Don't get me wrong, some teams really do benefit. Again, you think back to Florida of Modern Warfare and you look at Hydra coming into the New York Subliners. However, there are plenty that just do not work. They go under the radar, showing just how important it is to build a quality side at the start of the season and not rely on any changes throughout. To shout out the best teams overall then, Toronto Ultra and the Florida Mutineers. Both of those sides have made multiple transfers over the last year and a half, and all of them have been successful to some degree. And that is a massive shout out to Ricky Atura at Florida and Marky B at Toronto, and obviously the surrounding staff there. It's always a gamble to make a change, and yet these two teams seem to be doing it with plenty of know-how and pulling it off far better than the other teams in the league. On the flip side of things, Paris and Dallas sit at 0%. However, they've only made one change, so we'll give them a pass for now. The other two teams that are really struggling, the LA Thieves and the LA Gorillas. Again, I will give LA Thieves a little bit of a pass on this one because I do think that they're really trying, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. However, LA Gorillas, this is a team that we know is full of resources, and it just baffles my mind to see a team that well stocked, quite frankly, be the whipping boys of the league for 2 years and unable to make any solid transfers. They need to figure out what's going on and get much, much better as an organization. That's everything for me. Thought I'd try something a little bit different with this round 11. Do let me know what you think.